Welcome in, everyone!
Welcome, friends!
To Redacted News!
Where all the news is fit to redact.
On April 7th, 2025. We'll get right into it. AP News, April 5th, 2025. How Trump's order to end a tariff loophole could impact shein and temu. President Donald Trump is ending a little known but widely used exemption that has allowed as many as 4 million low value parcels, most of them originating in China, to arrive in the US every day tax-free. An executive order the president signed Wednesday will eliminate the de minimis provisions for goods from China and Hong Kong on May 2nd. The tax exemption, which applies to packages valued at $800 or less, has helped China-founded e-commerce companies like Shein and Temu thrive while cutting into the U.S. retail market. Shoppers had a full array of product and options on timing. Marshall Cohen, chief retail advisor at market research firm Circana, said, "Now they're going to have a limited array of options and timing. So you can still buy this product, but you may have to wait 3 or 4 weeks." U.S. politicians, law enforcement agencies, and business groups have described the long-standing policy as a trade loophole that gave inexpensive Chinese goods an advantage and served as a portal for illicit drugs and counterfeit to enter the country. Real quick, it always comes back to drugs, doesn't it?
I never heard of drugs coming through this way. Have you?
No.
That's a new one on me.
The sweeping tariffs Trump announced on Wednesday also aim to end the duty-free exception for all import goods worth less than $800, but only when the U.S. government has the personnel in place to process the parcels from every country. What will be the effect on prices and shipping times? A White House fact sheet said small packages of Chinese products sent through the International Postal Network will be subject to a duty rate of 30% of the value, or $25 per item, an amount that will increase to $50 per item after June 1st.
So everything really is going to get more expensive. Crazy.
I know.
I'm surprised they're closing a loophole. I thought this administration liked those.
I mean, they like it when they can prop themselves up, right?
This isn't even to stop China or whatever. They're only doing this so American businesses aren't undercut by these companies. But, like, what are these companies making that American companies are making? That's what I don't know. The one person I know who orders from there gets pretty niche stuff that, like, you couldn't get here no matter what.
Green Queen says stuff that doesn't exist here. Even my craft stuff you can't find in the actual craft stores.
The problem, I think, for a lot of brick and mortar, like craft stores, is really the rent, you know?
Yeah.
The rent too damn high.
If anything, they should be looking in on landlords for, you know,
Gouging.
I don't
doubt
and making it to the point that people can't have physical stores.
From CNN Business, April 7th, 2025. This is the stock market's worst start to a presidential term in modern history. Trump and his tariffs have taken a bull stock market and are on the precipice of turning it into a bear faster than any president has overseen in modern history. If the stock market closes in bear territory, a drop of 20% from its recent peak, it would be the earliest in a new administration a bull market has turned into a bear in the history of the S&P 500, which dates back to 1957. These same tariffs may also take a booming economy and turn it into a recession. The S&P 500 had lost 15% of its value since Inauguration Day as of Sunday night, and that doesn't even count the massive losses set for Monday's opening bell. The only similar drop for the elected president so quickly into their presidency was under George W. Bush in 2001. The next largest drop after Bush and Trump was Carter in early 1977. That decline was under 6%, to give you an idea of how far down the rabbit hole the market is right now. Oh, so Trump's losses are 15%. The second largest in history was only 6%.
Wow.
That's not good.
Wow.
But we were in a very large bubble in a lot of ways.
Yeah.
So that could also be part of market correction, but still, it's more than double.
That's pretty sad.
That's sad.
Well, the thing is also, real quick, I mean, I blame a lot of investors also for a lot of this stuff because they want to see their portfolio like go up every fucking time, and that realistically that's not going to happen.
And I feel it's not only just going up they want up in multiples instead of percentages, you know?
Yeah.
Because like there was a time when people could get on their interest 10 or 20%. Now they want 2 times, 3 times the return. It's ridiculous. It's unsustainable what people want.
Yeah.
And I think the market's going to bear that out.
Yeah.
The current market wipeout hit a crescendo after Trump's Liberation Day event, which he shocked and alarmed the businesses of the world by promising to increase tariffs at an unprecedented pace. Indeed, 2/3 of the 15% fall in the S&P 500 has been since Liberation Day. Liberation Day has been followed by Annihilation Day in the stock market, said Ed Yardeni of Yardeni Research. He wrote in a note to his clients on Sunday. The awfulness of the past 2 days of trading were matched only by the 1987 crash and the 2008 financial crisis and the COVID crash of 2020. Of course, the recent market's plunge alone isn't all that's unique about the current situation. What was happening before the plunge is particularly special. Bush took office with a market that was already in decline. As you read this article, it may be hard for someone like you to remember or imagine that, where the stock market crash related to the internet. The bursting of the dot-com bubble plunged and caused the S&P 500 to drop 10% in 2000. It would, therefore, be tough to say that Bush was responsible for the poor state of the market in 2001. Trump, on the other hand, inherited a bull market. The S&P 500 gained 23% in 2004. Indeed, it was quite easy to say that Trump is directly responsible for the drive under his presidency, given how much of an occurrence has happened since Liberation Day. We should note that the 15% drop under Trump in the S&P 500 does not qualify as a bear market yet. A bear market, by most definitions, requires a 20% drop from a recent peak. The Nasdaq already crossed the threshold, however, closing in a bear market on Friday for the first time since 2002. The Russell 2000 is the bear market too.
Yeah. Did you want to read that and leave off on a semi-good one?
Yeah, let's do that.
Okay.
Because as good as your article is for humanity, I'm worried we're getting ourselves into a Jurassic Park situation. Except
Right.
these guys are fucking nerds, bro. The names they come up with.
All right. Next one.
From Reuters, April 7th, 2025. The U.S. Supreme Court lets Trump use 1798 law for deportations, but with limits. The U.S. Supreme Court on Monday allowed Donald Trump to use a 1798 law that historically has been employed only in wartime to deport alleged Venezuelan gang members as part of the Republican president's hardline approach to immigration, but with certain limits. The court, in an unsigned 5-4 ruling, granted the administration's request to lift Washington's based U.S. Judge James Boasberg's March 15th order that had temporarily blocked the summary deportation under Trump's invocation of the Alien Enemies Act, while litigations of the case continue. Despite siding with the administration, the court's majority placed limits on how deportations may occur, emphasizing that judicial review is required. Detainees must receive notice after the date of this order that they are subject to removal under the act. The notice must be forwarded within a reasonable time and in such a manner as will allow them to actually seek habeas relief in the proper venue before such removal occurs, the majority wrote. The court has a 3-6 conservative majority. Conservative Justice Amy Cohen Barrett and the court's 3 liberal justices dissented. Trump invoked the Alien Enemies Act on March 15 to swiftly deport the alleged members of the Tren de Agua gang, attempting to speed up removals with a law best known for its use to intern the Japanese, Italian, and German immigrants during World War II. In Monday's decision, the court's majority emphasized that it was deciding that any challenge of deportation under Alien Enemy Act must be brought in the federal court district where the immigrant was detained, meaning the proper venue was in Texas, not the District of Columbia. The ruling said that the court was not resolving the validity of the administration's reliance on the law to carry out the deportations. Does the Supreme Court protect anyone? Are they there to protect the rich and powerful? Because you know those guys, they need protection.
The thing is, there's already been people deported wrongfully through this stuff, and I don't understand how people aren't more upset by this. I also have never heard of this gang until he was running.
Never heard of him even a little bit in any way. And then when they started bringing it up, I'm like, I think there are a lot of other races of gangs also that are very bad in doing things. Interesting, the ones you pick on.
Yeah, I would imagine that he would have gone with the easy one, with the cartels, you know? Everyone's still mad with the cartels. What the fuck?
Yeah, Venezuelan gang members is random. I mean, it's not random, it's just odd that it's picked kind of separately from everything, because I think there's a lot of every type of gang, you know.
But whatever fear tactic they need to use to get their way.
No fake, that's exactly what it is.
From Time Magazine, April 7th, 2025. The dire wolf once roamed an American range that extended as far south as Venezuela and as far north as Canada. But not a single one has been seen in over 10,000 years when the species went extinct. Plenty of dire wolf remains have been discovered across the Americas, and that presented an opportunity for a company named Colossal Bioscience. Relying on deft genetic engineering and ancient preserved DNA, colossal scientists deciphered the dire wolf genome, rewrote the genetic code of the common gray wolf to match it, and, using domestic dogs as surrogate mothers, brought the wolves Romulus, Remus, and their sister 2-month-old Khaleesi into the world during 3 separate births last fall and this winter, effectively for the first time de-extincting a line of beasts whose live gene pool long ago vanished. Time met the male wolves at a fence field in a U.S. wildlife facility on March 24th on the condition that their location remain a secret to protect the animals from prying eyes. The dire wolf isn't the only animal that Colossal, which was founded in 2021 and currently employs 130 scientists, want to bring back. Also, on their de-extinction wish list is the woolly mammoth, the dodo, the thylacine, or Tasmanian tiger. Already, in March, the company surprised the science community with the news that it had copied mammoth DNA to create a woolly mouse. Chimeric critter with the long gold coat and the accelerated fat metabolism of the mammoth. Colossal claims that the same technique it used to summon back species from the dead could prevent existing but endangered animals from slipping into extinction themselves. What they learned restoring the mammoth, they say, could help them engineer more robust elephants that can better survive the climatic ravages of a warming world. Bring back the thylacine and you might help preserve the related marsupial known as the quoll. Techniques learned restoring the dire wolf can similarly be used to support the endangered red wolf.
I don't think we should be making dire wolves. Maybe.
What? Why not?
So we can save the common chicken, we need to bring back T-Rexes. Yes, that makes sense. That's the kind of logic these people are using. Oh, well, to save one wolf that currently exists and we're killing off, let's bring back a wolf that, like, nature killed and is, like, huge and ferocious.
Well, I mean, it can't be that bad. They didn't bring... They experimented with mice for the woolly mammoth, right?
Yeah, and I thought that was an interesting jumping off point.
Yeah.
But then they went from mammoth DNA into mice to we made a dire wolf, bro. Right? It's kind of like, it's like...
Man, they're speedrunning this.
It doesn't make sense what they're doing.
They're probably speedrunning it because they're afraid that there's going to be laws set against it, so they want to do as much as they can before they're stopped.
Oh my god, how many dystopians are we living in at one time?
Right?
Because then that thing is like, oh, we want to do this massive genetic manipulation with ethical and moral quandaries that are unsettlable by mankind in its current state, but we're going to do it anyways.
Right?
Because there are no laws.
Exactly.
There are no laws.
Ambrose says, death by cool science.
I guess if you're going to have to die by something stupid, it might as well be cool science, We've gamed it out. I'll agree with you.
Right.
I feel like them making a dire wolf so they can save red wolves, as they claim, is the same as being like, oh, to save the tiger species, we better make some saber-toothed tigers. And it's kind of like,
don't give them ideas.
it's kind of like, why did you make this thing to save this thing? Maybe there is a good reason. I kind of wanted it explained to me.
Okay. You guys. We'll be right back.
We'll be right back.
Lots of love.
Lots of love.